Okay, so I'm going to go through the idea of a slope pretty quickly. With this one, a slope of a line, basically what we mean by a slope of a line is that's how steep the line is. Okay, it's a measurement. Lines can slope up, they can slope down, they can be level, or they can be vertical. Those are the only possibilities when you draw a line. So what we do on this is, one thing you want to know is the answer to a slope of a line is either positive, negative, zero, or undefined. So I want to go through and review that with everybody fairly quickly on this. So a slope is defined to be a rise over a run. It's a measurement of up, down in relation to left, right. Rise is up, down, run is left, right. Okay, this symbolism, if you've never seen the delta y, delta x, that just means how y is changing, and delta x means how x is changing. Well, what you do if you want to find how y is changing, then you subtract the two y values that you have on 2 points, and to find the run, you see how x is changing. Those are the basic definitions: rise over run, change of y, change of x, or y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Everybody's seen that, I know. Okay, maybe it's been a while, but that's what a slope of a line is. Okay, now what I want to show you on this then, this is something, sometimes I go looking on the internet and look, and I find stuff that I'm not clever enough to find. This is probably some high school teacher or something made this up, but I think it's kind of cool. If you have a line going up, what is that? That's a positive slope. If you got a line going down, that's a negative slope. If it's vertical, that's the guy's nose. What's that U? That means undefined. And then the guy's mouth is level, so that's a zero slope. That's clever. I could have never come up with that. I can't remember how to draw that, but some teachers come up with clever stuff, okay? So, I mean, you can use that if you want to, Mr. Slope Guy. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start working on some slopes now. So let's take a look at this one. So you have a line, and if you're going to just count out what the slope is, what you need to do is find 2 good points on this. I'm going to use this point, and I'm going to use that point right there. So it turns out if you've got a line, you've got to go up and down, left, right to get to the other point. Okay, that's what it is. So the rise would just be, and it doesn't matter which point you start at, what would you rise to get to that? You would go up 4, right? And then the run would be over 2. So that's up 4, right 2 like that. That's rise over run, and that's what the slope is it's a ratio of those two. Now I want to show you the consistency of this. So if you counted it this way, you would be going up and over, so the rise would be positive 4, the run would be positive 2, the slope is rise over run, so that's a slope of 2, right? That's what that is. That's how steep that line is, okay? What if we did it the other way? And it's good to kind of be consistent on this. What if I went down and to the left? I can also do that. If I go down 4, I would use negative 4. That's logical. Down is negative. If I go left 2, that's negative. Do you get the same answer? Yeah, if you do rise over run, you still get 2 because 2 negatives divide out to make a positive. So it works either way. So it's just a ratio of rise over run. Everybody got that okay, what I did? Okay, all right, and like if you're in carpentry and building stuff like that, that's part of what you do. You look at the steepness of a roof or something like that, you're looking at a rise over a run. Okay, all right, I'm going to run through one other one like this, just kind of the basics like this. So this one you've got, just find 2 good points. There's a point, 0, 3 it looks like, and the other good point I see is 15, 0. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to count this out both ways. So let's say we're going from here to here. You would be going down what? Down 3 and right 15. Okay, that would be one way to do that. So if you're going down 3, that would be negative 3. If you're going right 15, that's positive 15. So the slope is rise over run. Then you reduce that fraction by 3 to get negative 1/5. Okay, that's the idea. Okay. If you did it the other way, if you did this, what would you be doing? You would be going up 3, and then you would be going left 15. So it's consistent when you do this. You should always get the same answer, okay, like that. All right? And again, the line's going down, so that's what we call a negative slope. all right? So that's how you calculate a slope, just by looking at the line. You guys remember that okay from your background? Okay? And if you take calculus, slope is a real big deal. Okay? It shows up all the time. It's a big part of calculus. Okay? Okay, 2 other cases. Okay, if you have this one, a vertical line. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take 2 points. It doesn't matter what I choose, I just do that. What would the rise be if it's level? That's 0. Okay, the run would just be, I'm going to the right one, so that would be 0 over 1. So that is a 0 slope. Okay, that's what that is. All right. And of course, if you did it the other way, you'd get the same answer. It'd be 0 if you went left 1. Doesn't matter, you get the same answer. That's why it's a 0 slope, is because the rise is 0. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, all right. The last case you would have is this. And remember, a slope is a measurement of the steepness. So if I took like this dot and say that dot, the rise would be, in this case, would be up to, what would the run be? Run is this way. So what is that? That's 0. So you get 2 over 0. What do you know about that? You can't divide by 0, so it's undefined. Okay, that's how that goes. And that's why a vertical line is undefined. Here's another way to look at this. How steep is a line if it's straight up? How steep is that to you? Isn't that real steep? Yeah, it's like infinitely steep. That's as steep as you can make a line. So since it's infinitely steep, if it's infinitely steep, then you can't give it a numeric value. That's another way to look at it. It's infinitely steep, therefore it doesn't have a numeric answer to it. Does that make sense? Okay, so you can think of it that way. So those are the 4 cases you get into a slope. Okay, all right. Next thing I want to show you, just write down these 2 points on number 5. I want to go through no graphing on this, just kind of make sure and review that we know how to find a slope of a line if you got 2 points. Okay, so generally you pick the first point, and that's x1, y1. So x1 is -3, y1 is -3. x1, y1 just means that's the x and y value of the first point. Okay, and you can do this backwards. And then the second point, you just say x2, y2. So x2 would be 4, y2 would be -5. Okay, like that. All right. Okay, so we have x1 and x2, and then we have y1 like that. Now, when you do this slope, you don't have to write that down. The slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And what you guys want to remember in your mind is it's rise over run. Rise is y's, right? Rise is how far apart the y's are. Run is how far apart the x's are. That's what that means, okay? So what you do is you just do this. And you can do this in either order. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these y values and I'm going to subtract it. So I'm going to do -5, subtract -3. Be sure you subtract whatever that number is. And then your run is 4 minus -3. If you did both backwards, it still works. So if you did 3 minus -5 and 3 minus 4, you get the same answer. So you pick the direction, you subtract, but just be consistent. So that's -5 plus 3 over 4 plus 3. So that's -2 over 7. Okay? So you want to be sure that you know how to use that slope formula and be able to do that and crunch out the arithmetic okay with that. Okay. All right. Any questions on what I did there? Does that look familiar? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's do like one more here. Let's just, you don't need to write that stuff down there. When you're doing the slope on this, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you just go like this. I'm just going to take this minus this. So that's 6 minus -8. And then do the x's in exactly the same order. So that would be -5, subtract -5. All right, so let's see what happens on this one. It looks like you'd have 6 plus 8 over -5 plus 5. What's the answer? That's undefined, isn't it? Okay, if it's undefined, what does the line look like? It's vertical, exactly. So that's just 14 over 0. So that would be undefined is what the answer would be. Okay, that's how that goes. Okay, so that's the second thing is get comfortable with the slope formula. And I'm going to finish up class with just doing one more thing. I'm going to do one last example. We're going to just kind of finish up graphing on this a little bit. So with this one, what you need to write down is you have a point -2, -8, and you have a slope of 3/5. Now all we're going to do is we're just going to create a graph. So I'm going to plot the point, which is left 2, -8. So that's, put your point. Now if you have a slope of 3/5, since a slope is a rise over a run, and since it's positive, both numbers are positive, you're going to go up because it's positive, and you're going to go right because it's positive. So if you count out a slope of 3/5, it's up and over, okay? And you're going to do that from this point we already hit. So from here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 up, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that will make the line, okay? That's how you count a slope out. Okay, I'm going to do one last illustration of that, and that'd be a good stopping point. So this one we have the point -3, -2, and then we have a slope of -3/2. Now I put the negative in front of the fraction bar. If you have this situation, you can either interpret it as -3/2, or you can interpret it as 3/2. Okay, either way you're going to get the same answer. So if you look at it this way, the top number, what are you going to do now if it's negative? Down, the right number is positive, so what? Right. Okay, so this would be down and to the right. So from that point you would go down 1, 2, 3, right 2, and then that's how that would go, just like that. Okay? Okay, so if you've had a pretty good background in high school, you probably did a lot with graphing lines and so forth. That's what mostly this section's about, is linear functions, their slope, how you graph, and what equations of lines are. Okay? So that will wrap us up for today.